Hi, everyone. My name is Chef Bachmann, and welcome back to The Ultimate Dish. In today's episode, I'm welcoming for a second time André Natera, a former chef who recently has stepped away from the kitchen. His 27 years of experience includes working with Michelin-starred chefs, leading the culinary teams at some of Dallas's most acclaimed restaurants, and spearheading the culinary programs at world-class hotels in Austin, Texas. André was the executive chef of the Fairmont Dallas, which he guided from a 2-star to 4-star review from the Dallas Morning News. And he also awarded him Best Chef, DFW Chef Honors. He was the chef partner of award-winning restaurants Marquee Grill, Village Kitchen, and Toco V. In 2014, André became the regional executive chef for Omni Hotels. In 2017, he then joined the Fairmont Austin Hotel as culinary director, where he oversaw and designed the culinary program for their signature restaurants, Review, Rules and Regs, and Garrison, the latter of which boasted a Forbes Travel Guide 4-star and AAA 4-diamond rating. André has been inducted into the Epicurean World Master Chef Society for almost a decade now, and he continues to serve as a culinary council member for the prestigious Ment'or BKB. Join us today as we chat with André about his role as a culinary consultant and his new book, Chef's PSAs, How Not to Be the Biggest Idiot in the Kitchen. And there he is. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Great. You look good. It's always good to see you.
Get some glasses on there, buddy. You look phenomenal. Here's the thing I know about you and I love about you. All those books, those aren't for show. You've probably read those books twice. You're a big reader, right? As I recall.
I am a big reader. And so there's about 3 boxes of books in the garage. There's another 2 shelves of books here. There's books under my bed. There's books on my coffee table. I have so many books, and there's probably hundreds of books on audio and on my telephone. I think we've talked about this before, but I consume on average about a book a week. Sometimes more than a book a week, but yeah, I'm definitely a bookworm.
That's Bill Gates pace right there.
That's not true. Bill Gates can keep up with me.
He can't. Is it kind of a, so here's kind of a delve your secrets, right? So chefs love books, right?
Yep.
I'm not crazy about, I like books that tell stories, right? We know the recipes and stuff, and we're going to change them up anyway, but I love the books that tell a little bit of a story of the chef. And do you give books away after they've been on your shelf for quite a while, or do you keep everything?
Throughout the course of time as a chef, I end up accumulating too many books, and then I go through them. It's like, wow, I have too many books, and I just show up one day at work, in the trunk of my car, say I have 20 books. Who wants them? Come get them. First come, first serve. Yeah. And I probably had to do that several times throughout my career. What's interesting is there's certain books that I don't ever give away, no matter what.
Right. Yeah.
Those are my favorite books. Like, sorry, I'll tell people those are off limits. I don't even lend them out. But yeah, I definitely give out books. But there's like a book hierarchy. There's some world-class books for chefs that's like, okay, these are untouchable. They might have an autograph, or they might be personalized, or they just might be, I'll give you a good example. I have a book by Alain Ducasse. I don't know, it's like that thick, 500 pages.
Yeah.
Very hard to find. You can't find it anywhere. It's the Grand Livre de Cuisine.
I have it. I
think I bought it for like $250 like 10 years ago.
Exactly.
I can't find it anywhere. No, you can't borrow it. No, you can't have it. It's mine. It's not going anywhere.
100%. I mean, I'm not even sure I'll let you look at it at my house. I mean, yeah, that's a big one. This is another one. We're going to talk about it in a minute. This one's going nowhere.
That's probably the best book ever written, by the way.
100%. And we're going to learn why in just a minute. You know which one, Escoffier's Legui will go to the grave with me. Mine is so beat up. Literally, it's taped together with duct tape. Wow. I mean, it's just been, thrown around and, opened up so many times, students tearing at it. Was it
gifted to you, or was it one that you purchased?
It was a gift. Thank you for that. Yes, it was a gift. It was a gift. And those who saw us chat the first time will figure this out real quick, that we've met, right? And I had the great honor of being in a kitchen with you, 3 decades ago, right? You were a student at a school in the Northwest. And, back then classes were pretty tiny, and I got everything from caricatures to, really, really cool gifts from students that had good experiences. Right. And one year it was Escaffier's Leguy, which really, I mean, it was really moving, 100%. But no, for me, I've done it probably cleaned house 2 or 3 times because my wife insisted that I do. But the library, like all my art de culinaire over the years, right? It gets a little ridiculous, right? When you have 50 of those. So those went to the library. They were fascinated. But right here at the school, I've done it twice, filled up the shelves twice, and students love it, and I get a kick out of it, seeing them tear it up. Once in a while, I go back in there and like, hey, that's my original assigned Martin Yan. I'm going to take that back home. And then I sneak it back in. But hey, so excited. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today, and it's a different world. You've put in the time. I'm going to say you've sort of retired. I don't think you're ever going to retire, but you've stepped away from the kitchen. So I hope that we can talk about what you're doing, what you're thinking about. We could talk about your book. We could talk about what you want to do next. And again, nearly 3 decades, you've made your mark on the culinary industry. You run in the circles, right? And so first and foremost, you're gonna get embarrassed, and I know you don't want me to do this, but I'm unbelievably proud of you. Unbelievably proud of you. I'll never forget. This was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I was kind of working with a group, and we were talking, to Fairmont Hotels, and some of the, C-suite folks were like, we'd like to introduce you to, the young man that's going to run our property in Austin, Texas. And your voice comes, I had no idea. And it's like, hello, Chef Bachmann, Chef André, how are you? And I couldn't believe it. We were reunited. It's a teacher, it's a father's greatest pride to see, their children, their students kind of just take off and excel in the world. Right. And you've done that. And so before we jump into so much, I just love how serendipitous this is. And your career has been just crazy. So many memories. So if you step back, and we don't have to go all the way back to the, martial arts and all that. We've talked about that. I just want to hear the first thing out of your mouth about André. After 3 decades in the kitchen, he steps back, he looks, what does he see? What are the memories that come right to the top?
It's the people that I've crossed paths with, the mentors that I've had, yourself included. Thank you for the kind words. I've had lots of chefs throughout my career. I've worked with many people that were my sous chefs and cooks that have gone on to become amazing chefs in their own right. And all of the successes and the accolades and the awards, all that was through the team and the people that were around me. So it was a product of the team, but it was also the product of the people like yourself that brought me up into the industry. So any little bit of success that I've achieved is the culmination of my experience, the experience of the people that I've worked with, and the experience of the people that I worked for. And I would say, as I look back in retrospect, that's what makes me the most proud of this industry, were the relations and the successes, highs and lows, by the way, because you learn from the lows sometimes more than the successes.
Sure.
And I would say all of those moments in time, played a significant part in building who I am now, and kind of the direction that I'm going now as a chef. And I would say the most proud I am is just of those relationships and those opportunities to work with all these tremendous, wonderful people that work in the culinary food and beverage industry.
Yeah, well said. And I had hoped that you'd say that, right? It's so great to look back and have those memories. And today's social media allows you to stay in touch. I happen to follow many of the chefs that work for you in Austin and see what's going on with them, right? And
Wow.
and it's cool to watch, right? So as part of your new, let's say, culinary endeavor, because it sounds and feels like you're gonna you're still in the space, right? You're kind of on the outskirts of the space, right? You're leveraging your many years of experience, those relationships, that networking, those friendships, as an executive chef, as a partner, as a team member, to help culinarians to grow their skills, and consequently their businesses, right? I mean, mentorship, we said at the beginning, is really, really important. So you've written your first book already. I mean, you're not even retired for a minute and you've written a book. It's hilarious, by the way. I don't know if it's meant to be hilarious, but it's really funny to someone who's in the kitchen every day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a word or two that I'm going to have a word with you about, but if you have salt and pepper mixed on your station, you shouldn't. I mean, I don't know why that's so funny to me. It's true, by the way, it's true, but it's funny. So, I mean, chef's PSA, how not to be the biggest idiot in the kitchen. I mean, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
Let's just be as direct and straightforward and unapologetic as we possibly can here, right? So, first of all, I want to talk about where the idea came from, why you did this, why aren't you in the Bahamas? What was the process like? A lot of people want to do this. It's not easy, but first, where'd the idea come from? Did it come to you a decade ago? It's like, I'm going to write a book about this, or is this very recent?
I'm going to stop and so Chef's PSA, on the back of the book, it says, this book won't make you a better cook, but at least you can look like you know what you're doing. And, you know, the reason is because it's intentionally not a cookbook. It's a book designed for people that are new in the industry or people that are seasoned in the industry to kind of like establish what the unwritten rules are of working in a culinary operation. It's the do's and don'ts that you don't necessarily know when you're right out of culinary school or you're on the job. Like, this is what you need to know when you're walking into a kitchen and it's day one and you're fresh, you're green, and you're walking into the kitchen. This is what you need to know. It's also, some of it's intended to be tongue in cheek, like the salt and pepper thing. That's intended to be in the book so you recognize if you're in the wrong kitchen. Because if you work in a kitchen and you're aspiring to be a Michelin 3-star chef, and on your station you have table grind and iodized salt mixed in your quart container, you're working in the wrong kitchen, because the best chefs in the world don't do that. So you might want to think about getting out. However, as a friend of mine who, I won't name him, but he works in a 3 Michelin-star restaurant, mentioned to me, he says, but those are the best times when you work in those kitchens, when you mix the salt and pepper, which he's right. Like, those are some of the most fun kitchens to work in. So it's intended to be taken, take what you can from it, throw away the rest. But here's how the book came to be, back to your original question. It really started during the pandemic, and there was about 2 or 3 things that led to it. Where I was the chef, I had about 70 international students that worked for me. And every month we put on Culinary University, where we'd go in and we'd teach them what they need to know about becoming a chef. Now, in the kitchen, they're learning the fundamentals of cooking and they're working. So I didn't want to be redundant and teach them more about food. I wanted to teach them, okay, when you go back and you move on, what are the things that you need to know, how to lead kitchens, how to manage kitchens, all the things that you don't learn on the cutting board, right? And so I would do these classes once a month for my employees. And what ended up happening is COVID hit, and then the world shuts down. The rest is history. And during that time, I lost that connection with all these people that I was mentoring. I had so many people that looked to me as a mentor, and I was helping develop their skill set. And once that opportunity didn't present itself anymore, I needed to figure out a way that I could reach them. So I was in the grocery store one day, and I heard over the intercom there was a commercial for Taylor Swift's cooking class. And I thought, why does Taylor Swift have a cooking class? She should not have a cooking class. I should have a cooking class. And I said, you know what? I should have a class. But I should have a class not on cooking, because I felt like if anyone remembers back when COVID first hit and you jumped on any social media platform,
sure,
every single chef and their wives and their friends and the influencer had a cooking channel. It was like the thing to do. And it was like scrolling, like, oh my God, I can't take another salmon on spinach salad at this point. No offense to my chef friends that were making salmons on spinach salad. But I was like, I can't take it anymore. I needed to do something different. I was like, what can we teach these young chefs? And I said, I'm going to teach them how to become chefs, not the cooking part, because you could go on masterclass and you could see Thomas Keller and Gordon Ramsay, or you could take any of these other platforms, Dominic Crenn or whatever the case may be. There's some amazing chefs that can teach you how to cook, not just in culinary school, but even online if you don't have access to that. But I recognized that there was a lack in teaching people kitchen culture, culinary management skills, leadership skills, all the things that you need to be a chef. Like I could teach you how to cook, but no one's teaching you how to be a chef. So I said, that's going to be my role, is I'm going to help young chefs practice your craft of culinary in the kitchen. But when you're with me and you're on my time, I'm going to teach you how to go from cook to chef. And that's where the idea came from. So Chef's PSA came from that. There's another online class that I have called How to Manage Like an Executive Chef. People can find it online if they just search my name, How to Manage Like an Executive Chef. The class is for free. And we take you from everything from how to build a team, how to negotiate with vendors, how to fire people, how to deal with difficult situations, how to market yourself. It's all in there. That's important stuff. Knowing how to manage food costs might not be sexy, but you need to know how to do that. So those are the things that I want to help people with when they are out on their own.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump on that bandwagon right there. So there's a few, we mentioned the salt and pepper one. There's a title around cost of goods sold, sales, and how that all translates in the food cost, right? And there's no such thing as Sunday traffic. Learn from your mistakes, but don't feed them to your guests. So I'm fascinated. I mean, you could probably sit down in one night and start just jotting things down that have either irked you or you've trained people over the years. So subconsciously, was this a book that was in the making over a long time, or did you literally just sit down one day and brrr, out it comes? These are all the things that drive me crazy.
Well, it started as a joke. So
I could tell.
This is the true story. Is one day I was annoyed about something, and I don't remember what the first Chef's PSA was, but for the sake of conversation, I think it was like, don't call off on your birthday. We know you're lying. It was one of those things.
Cute, but funny, but real.
But
right?
funny. Like
yeah.
I probably, something must have happened. I don't know if that was it, but nonetheless, I put up a Chef's PSA. And a lot of people started messaging me saying, oh, that's hilarious, this, that, the other. I'm kind of bored. I'll do one every Saturday.
Okay.
So I put one up every Saturday, like Chef's PSA, don't mix your salt and pepper. Chef's PSA, you could stop wearing chili pepper pants. All these little things that were.
We may have to edit that one.
Chefs, if you're listening, take the chili pepper pants and burn them. Stop wearing them. You can also stop putting parsley on the rim. But anyway,
yes.
Long story short, I started putting up the PSAs weekly. And a lot of my friends would message me, this is hilarious, blah, blah, blah. One of my friends, Fermin Nunes, who great chef, based out of Austin here, has the restaurant Suerte. If people don't know who he is, you should look him up. He's really doing a lot of things with Mexican food. He messaged me and said, turn this into a book, I'll buy it. So I thought to myself, well, how hard could it be a book? How hard could it be to write a book? I don't know. So I just sat down one day and wrote it. I was like, well, how hard could it be to publish a book? So anyway, that's what it did. What I end up doing, and this is something I do to myself, so maybe people could learn from this, is sometimes I'll announce something before it's actually developed, because it puts pressure on me to do it. Oh, yeah. So I told the world, I'm writing a book. It's called Chef's PSA. It'll be out in 2 months. I was like, uh-oh, I better start writing the book.
I got 60 days to get it together.
Yeah. So I put a little false time pressure on myself to get it done. And lo and behold, you have this glorious 69-page book that is full of Chef's PSAs. It's short, it's $10. It's intended to be hung on your clipboard in the kitchen. It's intended to be in your knife roll. It's not intended to be on your coffee table. It's intended to be read in a couple of hours. It's intended to be given to the new cook in the kitchen when he needs, when you're not sure what to get him for Christmas. This is the right Christmas gift to get him. When your classmate graduates and they're about to get their first job, you slide that over to them and say, just so you don't get wrecked, read this first.
No, I love it. I was going to ask, I bought it for all the chefs here in Boulder. But you kind of answered it. You said earlier, take what you want, throw away the rest. But literally, this is something that should be in the back pocket, should be close by, refer to it every once. Daniel Boulou has written a few of those kind of books. Don't put it on the coffee table. Don't put it on the shelf behind you. Actually, it should get dirty, right? Yeah, I love that. What is, so a year from now, 2 years from now, a generation from now, there's meaningful stuff in here. What do you want people to walk away from? There's many lessons, and everybody's going to have a different input, right? Or a different takeaway. But what is it, if you had one sentence, what do you want people to take away from this book or from your knowledge? Let's say it that way.
It's right on the cover, how not to be the biggest idiot in the kitchen. And let me expand upon that because I'm kind of cracking jokes, but here's what I mean is that when you start out cooking, you sometimes don't understand what the person at the top, because there's all sorts of age levels. When you're in high school, everyone's 18, 17, 16, 15, everyone gets it. They all kind of have the same level of life experience. But when you go into a kitchen, and let's say you're 18, right? This is my case. I'm 18 years old. I'm in my first kitchen, and I'm working with 40-year-old men, 50-year-old men, 35-year-old men, 18-year-olds just like me. And all of us have different levels of experience in the kitchen. Some of them are hardened cooks that have been doing it for a very long time. Some of them are brand new. And some of those people that have been there for a long time, which is in most cases about 70% of most professional kitchens. About 30% are newbies and about 70% are your veterans. So when you get in there and you're the new person, you still kind of have this young person's mentality where you think you're fooling them. But it's like your parents, like, I did that too. You're not fooling me. So going back to, don't call off on Valentine's Day. Don't request off on Valentine's Day. That's the busiest service. But if you don't know better, you're going to walk into the chef's office. You're going to say, can I have Valentine's Day off because I made plans with my significant other? And the chef is going to say to you, it's the busiest day. We have 200 reservations. You can't have it off. And you're not going to understand why. But everyone in the rest of the kitchen is going to look at you like, how do you not get it? Right? What's wrong with you? How do you not know this already? So this book was intended to kind of hasten your learning curve of the unwritten rules in the kitchen. So it's those things that you need to know because everyone else knows this. Everyone else has already experienced this. So if you're new in the kitchen, this is what you need to know. However, also if you're experienced in the kitchen, this is a good tool for you to share with your team and say, hey, just a reminder, I'm not crazy when I say don't call up on your birthday. I know you're lying. By the way, it's in the book. So there's a lot of things like that that are intentional for seasoned cooks to remind people and also to remind themselves. And also, for new people in the kitchen, the whole thing is, I would love to change kitchen culture for the better. I want better cooks. I want more professional cooks. I want people to be more successful. I want people to make more money. And in order to do that, you need to be a better chef. You need to know things. And if I could shorten your learning curve, even if I've shortened it by 10%, you'll get to your destination 10% faster.
It's sort of, make sure I get it right, chefs_PSA. So it's sort of my calming app, right? Yeah. So what you're saying right there, kind of, I saw today's, but yesterday's said successfully avoiding difficult stations and positions in the kitchen is not an accomplishment to be proud of.
Yeah. And the cool thing is you taught me that. You might not remember this, but I'll share the story. So here I am. For people that don't know, I'm going to go back in time. We're going to go back 29 years. So you said I've been in the industry for 29 years. So exactly 29 years ago on day one, I'm in Chef Bachmann's class. So for people that don't know, that's the short version. So there I am in class, 17 years old. By the way, I know nothing about cooking. I didn't even know it was called culinary school. I thought it was called chef school. And someone had to explain to me what the word culinary meant. That's how green I am at this point. And so I'm in class, we're marinating chicken. I've never really cooked before in like real cooking. I think I made spaghetti and ragu out of a jar. So my cooking experience is very limited. So there I am sitting across the table from you, Culinary 101. You're my first instructor. I'm in your first class. there's a big bowl of raw, disgusting chicken. I've never in my life touched raw, disgusting chicken. I'm appalled that Chef Bachmann would want me to touch this disgusting raw chicken. So there I am, and I'm very timid and like, I don't want to touch the chicken. We're marinating and whatever. And you get really close and you get really quiet and you say, Chef, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. As soon as you get over that, you'll start to see progress. And it stayed with me forever because it was analogous to so many other things in life and in the kitchen. Like if you're afraid to work, if you're afraid of the hard stuff, you're going to be stuck. You're not going to grow. So, to that chef's PSA, if you want to avoid difficult stations, you don't want to work the grill because it's hot, which I don't like working the grill. So I'm going to call myself out. I've worked the grill. I didn't like it, but I did it. If you don't like working the grill because it's hot, or you don't like working a certain station because the hours are longer, or you don't want to go to be the breakfast chef because you got to wake up at 4 a.m., you're doing yourself a disservice. Do the hard positions in the kitchen. Learn as much as you can. Don't avoid the hard work because you will be a better chef for it. And so if you don't push yourself and you continue on with the normal routine, the good thing is probably nothing bad will happen to you. You'll be nice and safe. But on the contrary, nothing good will happen to you either. You're going to be stuck because at a certain point in your career, you're going to have to walk through fire to get to that coveted executive chef position.
No, I love it. Beautiful story. And just to kind of to echo or piggyback on that story, it's the same thing. That was the first time I was a culinary educator as well. I walked out of the kitchen and there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of nerves, but you just start doing it. You just start doing it and it becomes, very natural for you. Such beautiful memories. I love it. 29 years ago, you think about. And now, so fast forward, award-winning chef, unbelievable career, now a culinary mentor, love that, and author. Mm-hmm. I know you like to work with chefs to improve their kitchen operations. A very sincere aspiration. So many of the entrepreneurs that I speak with who are also chefs have spoken about the differences between being a chef and being a chef owner / operator. It's different. As you know, being a chef is so much more than just cooking, right? There's so many more elements to owning or even running a successful business, call it a restaurant. What are, as you step back now, what are some of the challenges, chef, that you believe that chefs are facing, operators, owners are facing today in the industry? Pandemic aside, just in general.
I think the biggest thing that, and this isn't just chef owners, but it seems to be everywhere, is that there's a shortage of culinary cooks. There's a lack of cooks in the industry right now. We go back a couple of years ago and the Food Network was popping, mm-hmm. and everyone wanted to be a chef. So everyone was rushing to go to culinary school. Everyone was coming out, and we had no shortage of demand for cooks in the kitchen. It was just, wow, 10 applicants for one position. Today, I think in restaurants, hotels, cruise ships, whatever industry it is, you might have a position open for a month before an applicant comes in. So there's going to be an effect due to that. And a lot of times that means that we're going to have to change the menus, make the recipes easier because we don't have the labor to go along with it. We might need to simplify the food, change the concept, whatever the case may be. But that lack of cooks in the kitchen causes a big issue down the road for every other aspect in the kitchen. Your kitchen's not as clean. The morale is a little bit down. The food might not be as good as you might not be working to your full capability. So all these other things are affected by the lack of the amount of cooks right now that are applying for jobs in the industry. So I'll tell you what excites me, and I haven't seen it. They have a new Iron Chef on Netflix, and I saw a trailer for it, and I thought to myself, that's great. And I know there's a new television show on Hulu called The Bear, which everyone's talking about. Also, I haven't seen it. But that excites me because it's like, okay, people are going to get excited about becoming chefs again, which is great because, that's usually phase one is like, okay, once once it's cool again to be a chef, I think people will start going back to being a chef. But it's a difficult thing for people that are restaurant operators, executive chefs. There is a big lack of people right now in the industry.
Any from an advice or a mentorship perspective, I mean, your career was a career. I mean, it's a long time to be in the industry, and you reinvented yourself. You did a lot of different things. What advice do you have for up and coming cooks, let's say, who want to have a similar 10, 20, 30-year career, which then parlays into, something cool where they impart a knowledge on the next generation? What's the secret sauce to keeping it going?
I could talk about this at length, so I'll try and keep it to three things, because I probably have 100 going through my head right now of if I could go back and give myself the advice, right? I would say the first thing is work in a kitchen where you're not the best. Work in kitchens that are hard. So surround yourself with cooks that are much better than you. And it's a difficult thing because a lot of times you're insecure. You don't want to be the worst cook in the kitchen. People, might think of you a certain way. So whatever the case may be, but ignore that. Try and cut through that noise. Be in a kitchen where there's a bunch of ninjas, samurais in the kitchen. People are focused and the food is just perfect and pristine, because those kitchens will make you better. And by leaps and bounds, right? So it's very easy to be at a very top kitchen and work your way backwards. It's very difficult to be at a low end kitchen and work your way up. If there's a restaurant that's on the world's 50 best, they're not hiring, most likely, they're not hiring the cook that's working at the diner, right? However, the cook that's at the world's 50 best restaurant can easily get a job at a diner. So working at better restaurants creates much more opportunity for you. So I would say number one is be in a kitchen where everyone excels, right? And it's easy to find out which ones are those kitchens. It doesn't, 5 minutes of research on Google and you'll know what the top restaurants in the world are. That's where you want to be. Number two, I would say take care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever you got to do. Make sure that you are in good condition, because the industry is tough. It's almost, I say to people, it's like an athletic sport. You're on your feet all day, you're bending, you're crouching, you're opening and closing doors and ovens, and you're lifting heavy stuff. Like it does take a toll on the body. So be mindful of what you eat healthy, sleep, don't party every night as much as you think that's a good idea. Don't party every night. Take care of yourself. Do what you got to do, because this industry is difficult. So I would say, work in difficult kitchens, take care of yourself. And I would say the third thing that I would say is most important is find mentors that will help you. And I think it's very difficult to find a good mentor when you're young, because sometimes you want to pick the guy that, like, I'm a line cook and that guy's been a line cook for 2 years, so he should be my mentor. It's probably the wrong way to look at it. Find a chef, someone that's in the position that you want to be in, because they're really going to be the best person to tell you how to get their job. I'll tell you, sometimes it drives me crazy. I've worked with these people before, where, that's this one grouchy cook, and they're in every kitchen. There's a grouchy cook in every single kitchen in the world, and they have a bad attitude and they know everything, and the chef is wrong. And if I had their job, this place would be perfect, right? That person exists in almost every kitchen. And because they talk so much, sometimes young chefs look up to this person because they think that they're the authority on everything. And they sit there and they say, well, I was passed over for this position. I've been passed over for that position, but I'll tell you, this is what you need to do to get that position. Don't listen to that person, because that person does not know. They haven't been in the position. They can't tell you how to get to the position, because they keep getting overlooked for the position for a reason. Look at the person that's in the position that you aspire to be in. That's the person that you need to listen to, because they've done it. They know how to get there. They've been to the big game. They know how to win it. So I would say that would be the third thing, is find yourself a mentor, someone that's going to coach you and help your career, and someone that you can build a long relationship with. A Chef Bachmann, who I've known for 29 years. That's the type of mentor that you need in your life.
No, it's great advice. I want to keep going on that theme. I appreciate the passion, because you've done it, right? Check. So shift a little bit. So we're taking care of ourselves. We're trying to find a mentor. We're trying to create some longevity along along the ride. At the same time, we also have to be very, very concerned. You said it earlier about the culture. So now I'm progressing, I'm moving to those positions, and I need to keep an eye on my culture. I want a culture of excitement. I want a culture of innovation. I want a culture of curiosity. I want a culture of respect. What advice do you have? And again, not to steal the next book, right? But what's the advice for either an up and coming chef, an older chef, a career changing chef, to get that culture just right? And it's going to be different in different kitchens, right? You mentioned the Bear, right? So there's some examples of a kitchen culture in the Bear that we probably don't want, which, then kind of dictate the theme of the movie. The star is trying to create the right culture in a crazy environment. You'll see it when you watch it. But talk about culture a little bit in the kitchen, professional kitchen.
So when you walk into a kitchen and the culture's of its highest, there's commonalities across all the great kitchens. They all kind of, when you reach a certain point in your career and you say, okay, I'm running a great kitchen, whether it's a 3 Michelin star, World's 50 Best, or James Beard Award winning restaurant, usually you start to see the same things that are common across those kitchens. So developing a good kitchen culture is maybe the most important thing, because if the culture is right, the food will be right, right? You create the environment where people can succeed in. So a lot of these kitchen cultures, sometimes it's literal things like take the tape that you used for a label off the container before you send it to the dish station. That is a literal example of a high kitchen culture, right? But another example would be to treat everyone with respect. Now you can't, that's kind of a statement that's very broad and general, but people aren't stupid. You know what respect is when you see it. You know when you feel like you're being treated with respect. And if you have a half a brain, you know when you're also treating someone disrespectfully. So you need to put some of these things that are not tangible, the respect, the ethics, the morals in the kitchen, but you also need to have some of the tangible. Don't mix your salt and pepper. Take the tape off the container before you send it to the dish station. Don't put half sheet pans on speed racks because someone's going to pull it out and it's going to fall all over you because they think it's a full sheet pan. These are the things that that's also the culture. So some of it is literal, and some of it it's kind of more of the idea. But the more that you establish a culture and what those expectations are and outline it, I think it's really critical to outline what your culture is and the standards that you're trying to establish in your establishment, what they are, what do they look like. Everyone should be able to recite them back to you and know them, because if they don't, then it's not real, right? It has to be real. And if no one knows that but one person, then it doesn't exist. Whatever is in your kitchen right now. So if you're a chef right now, or you're a cook in a kitchen, look around, whether it's written down or whether it's not. But there's going to be certain things that everyone does in your kitchen that's different from everyone else. That's the culture. Whether it's documented or not, that's your culture. And ask yourself, is this something that we're proud of? And if it's not, then you need to be taking the necessary steps to change it into something that you are proud of. We need to improve kitchen culture, because that is going to fix so many other things. People are going to call off less. People are going to stay in your kitchen longer. You're going to have to deal with less arguments on the line. People are going to want to cook better food. People are going to be more creative. When the culture is right, all these other things have room to blossom.
I love it. Really, really well said. I'm going to keep on this, that we're on a roller coaster now, and I'm going to keep going. So we've talked about the longevity / success, right? And everything that goes with that. Next is culture. So important. It's kind of like the bread and butter, right? And next, I want to ask you about leadership. So kind of my trilogy there, right? Be in it to win it, have an incredible culture, and be just an incredible leader, right? Let me phrase it this way. How can an experienced chef, so by saying chef, I've already, suggested that this person's been around for a while. How can that, from a leadership perspective, how can that experienced chef help the next generation? They're still in the kitchen, right? They're still working every single day. How can that chef help our next generation understand everything we just talked about, which for me is leadership?
So I put up a chef's PSA the other day, and I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember exactly what it said, but it said something along the lines is, if you know how to cook, you'll always have a job. But if you know how to lead, you'll always be their boss. And I think it's important that people understand that there is a distinction between a cook and a chef. And the old expression of a chef can cook, but a cook can't chef. And it's really important that people build leadership skills early on in their career, that they understand like cooking is only going to get you to sous chef. If you're a good cook, probably you're going to be a decent sous chef. But once you get into sous chef, it's going to be very difficult to move beyond sous chef without leadership skills. So if you're at the top and you're the executive chef, culinary director, chef de cuisine, whatever it is that you are, you need to be thinking about the longevity of my operation. If I want to grow, right? And a lot of chefs want to grow. They want to have multiple restaurants. They want a bigger job in a shinier building with more cooks and more kitchens. The only way that you're going to be able to grow is that you have to grow people beneath you, because when you go to the next place, you're going to take people with you. So it is the most important thing that is your job as a chef, to be developing the people that work beneath you into chefs. Hopefully, you have a program already in place that's developing them into great cooks. But let's make sure that there is a clear distinction here, that there's a difference between a cook and a chef, right? The cook is on the line. The chef is leading people. The chef manages costs. The chef orders food. The chef writes schedules. The chef mediates arguments. The chef negotiates with vendors. The chef goes on podcasts and interviews with Chef Bachmann. That's the difference between the cook and the chef. And these are very different skills. You might be a brilliant cook, but have a fear of public speaking, and you're going to clam up as soon as someone sticks a microphone in your face. So that's the things that they don't tell you. That's part of the job. Like, it's not just cooking. Cooking makes sure that the food is going out, but there's so much else going on in the kitchen that if you don't know these things, you're going to struggle. So the sooner that you learn them, the quicker you'll be closer to your dream job. And it's the experienced chef's job to make sure that he is developing those people beneath him, so he could continue to grow, she can continue to grow up the ladder, so he could get a bigger kitchen, more restaurants, more money, right? It just starts compounding the return. If you're investing in people, you cannot go wrong. There's never been a time in my career, and I'll say this right now, there's never been a time in my career that I've invested my knowledge and my time into someone where I regretted it. If they were better from that experience, I've never sat there and said, "Oh, that was a waste of my time." No, if they are better, that's the best investment you could do. It's good for you. It's good for them. How can you not be happy about that? And cooking is important. And I don't want to diminish this. I was a chef for 29 years, as are you, and as are many people listening to this. But there's a different satisfaction when someone eats your food and they say, "Wow, that's good," versus you've watched someone go from cook to executive chef. It's a different level of satisfaction. It's like you said earlier, proud moment when you watch someone that you've worked with for years, that on day one, they mix their salt and pepper, and a couple of years later, they're running their own kitchens and getting awards. Like, wow, you played a part in that. You helped someone reach their potential. It's the greatest thing ever in life, as a parent, as a chef. And when you're the chef, you're kind of the parent as well. It's the greatest thing ever. And if you haven't experienced that because you haven't taken the time in your own kitchen to develop your team, I would challenge you, push yourself to do that. And you'll notice infinite returns on your investment.
You miss the kitchen?
Do I miss the kitchen? I have a kitchen at home.
Not a good answer.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, you know what? I would say that the biggest thing that I miss about the kitchen is the people. That's it. Cooking is cooking, and I towards the end of my culinary career running kitchens, I wasn't cooking as much, and I know people are gonna be shocked. What? You're the executive chef? You don't make all the food? Yeah,
You're not there every day. Hey, I came to the restaurant. You weren't
it,
there. Where were you?
I didn't make every meal in all 7 restaurants. That's the truth.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to disappoint some people. I didn't make every single dish. But I had a team of amazing chefs around me who I care about dearly, and I miss them every day. And, we pushed each other, and I helped them and they helped me. And I would say that is what I miss the most about the kitchen, is just the atmosphere. There's something about a kitchen atmosphere that, you just get excited when you go in there and you're ready for service. And it's like, okay, we're like, there's a full rail of tickets. Are you guys ready to bring it? Like, let's go. There's just something magical about that intensity that you could only experience in kitchen, in some other stressful situations. But it's like, you feel alive when you're in the kitchen. And sometimes when it's like, you have a mountain of prep and you're looking at, it's like, there's no way I'm going to get this done in X amount of time. And then you get it done. You're like, how did I do that? Right.
It's our runner's high, right?
Yeah.
There's no other feeling like it. Have I told you that I'm proud of you?
Thank you. Thank you. I'll tell you a funny story, and maybe you'll relate. So when you ask if I miss the kitchen, sometimes here's something that people don't think about when you're the executive chef, is you might be dealing with problems all day. You might not even lift a knife. So you might be dealing with a vendor, writing a schedule, mitigating an issue, and your whole day you've been dealing with problems or things that are difficult, stressful, mental issues. And every now and again, it's like someone says, hey, can you just help me cut some onions? I'm like, yeah, I can. I'll just stand there and I'll just, with my knife all day, cut onions. Like, keep me here as long as you need. It was almost meditative to just stand there on a cutting board and, chop things. Is like, wow, this feels so awesome. You just zone out with a knife and a board. Best feeling ever. Skimming stock, whatever it is. And every chef has one of those things. Like, I know chefs, they'll say, no, it's skimming stock for me, or making demi-glace. Other people, it's like, no, slicing mushrooms, whatever the case may be, butchering. It's like, it just puts you in the zone, and it's the best feeling ever, especially when you've been removed from it for a little bit. It's like just sitting over a cutting board or over the stove. It's like,
but you're still on stage. You're still on stage, because when you're back there, chopping, mirepoix or onions or whatever, they're watching you.
Oh yeah, they are.
The old man's got some knife skills. Yeah.
Here's a funny story. I went to go help a friend out recently in a kitchen. I'll tell you this story. It's hilarious. And I haven't cooked in like 6 months, right? I retired in January. I haven't really been in a kitchen, and I went to go help someone out, and I'm in the kitchen, and they said, hey, can you make this? I was like, yeah, like croquettes. And like, all right, just make a roux. I keep in mind, I've been on the couch for 6 months, and I haven't like been a line cook in a very long time. So I'm making the roux, and this is the first time it's ever happened to me in 29 years. And I don't know how I did it. I broke the roux. The butter and the flour separated. And I was like, how did I still don't know what I did. I broke the roux. And so one of the sous chefs comes up to me. He's like, here I am, 29 years, all these awards, chef comes up to me. He's like, you want me to show you how to make that? I was like, I know how to make a roux. Go away. I know how to make a roux. I stood there all day.
Did you knock it out? Did you get it done?
It was probably the best croquettes anyone's ever had after.
Of course.
I was angry. Like, I'm going to prove a point. How dare they question my roux making ability? But I thought it was funny, because here I was, kind of rusty. I was like, how did that happen? How did I break this roux? And here I'm getting lectured by the sous chef looking at me. You know how to make a roux? Yes.
I love it. I love it. The most stressful one are those ones that, where there's a separation of sorts, right? Like walking by the kitchen, the thing I dread every single day is, hey, chef, can you come in here and make a hollandaise? Oh, I got a meeting. I got to run. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Hey, buddy, we're almost out of time. Unbelievable fun. I don't know how this went so fast, but this was number 2. I think there's a number 3. I can't wait. But before I let you go today, the name of the podcast is The Ultimate Dish. Mm-hmm. So here you are, you're retired. Yeah, I don't care if you go back 29 years or 1 year or 1 minute. Maybe it's the croquettes, but in your mind, what's the ultimate dish?
So I'm glad you asked this question. I'll try and keep the story short, but I was watching something the other day, and Gordon Ramsay was on TV, and he was making this prime rib and had Yorkshire puddings and palm puree or whatever. And I just remember looking, I was like, that looks great. That's what I want to eat every day. And as a chef, most recently in my career, I was in high end places, like you had said earlier, 4-star type places, pushing to be the best restaurant in the city. We were definitely on that level, and we'd make pretty food. We'd make beautiful food with flowers and herbs and garnishes and tweezers and all that. And I'd look at that beautiful food, and it was absolutely stunning. It should probably be in a magazine, but I'd rather eat the prime rib.
Yeah. Medium rare or end cut?
Oh, geez, that's a tough question. You know what? Center cut, medium rare, covered in au jus, palm puree on the side, a Yorkshire pudding. And you know what? You can put a big rosemary sprig in there too. I'll be happy. It'll be delicious.
It's again another story, and I should wrap it up. But we were in London before Gordon Ramsay had the Omni Hotel, and that was their jam for years. They cooked for the royal family, prime rib with the au jus. I mean, prime rib, right? 12, 14 ouncer right in the middle of the plate. Beautiful. Yeah, there's something special about that. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, the classics are going to be just as good 20 years ago as they are 20 years in the future. So
it requires unbelievable technique, perfection in many ways, right? Yeah, yeah. Great story, buddy. Great chat as always. I love you, man. Thank you for being here. I'll get you back again. Thank you for listening to the Ultimate Dish Podcast, brought to you by Auguste Escoffier School of Culinary Arts. Visit escoffier.edu/podcast, where you'll find any materials mentioned during the podcast, including notes, links, and other resources. You can also browse other episodes and subscribe.